Good morning, everybody. This is the news that we are waking up to for Thursday, March the 6th, 2025, day 1107 of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. I'm Peter Alexievich, and last night we saw, again, so what we're seeing, I think, are the drone attacks tapering off. It does appear that way. You know, we were getting 200 a night for over a week, and last night we saw 180, or the night before last, we saw 181 drones sent at the territory of Ukraine. Last night it was only 112. And of the 112, 111 were taken out. It's over a 99% interception rate. So the Ukrainian armed forces continues to do the good job that they do every day. And it goes to show if we give them what they need, they can get the job done. But my concern, and the concern that we all have, is that we're taking away what they need. You know, Lavrov recently laid out Putin's objectives from the United States, what he wanted from the United States. And he very clearly said he wanted financial aid that props up the government to stop. He wanted military aid that provides weapons to stop. And he wanted intelligence sharing to stop. Today, we learned that Donald Trump has given Vladimir Putin every one of those things. And that becomes a real problem for the Ukrainians because the HIMARS systems, well, think about the metal first, right? The tanks, the Bradleys, replacement parts for those, ammunition for those. Ukraine is dependent on the United States commitments that we've already made to service those vehicles and to provide that assistance. Then there's the defensive, offensive capabilities of Patriots, HIMARS, ATACMS, all of which Ukraine depends on for its defense in the face of Russian aggression. Then there's the ability to use those long-range weapons, which can do things that no other weapon system that Ukraine has access to can do. A HIMARS ATACMS cluster strike against a training facility will do what you want it to do. There's no other solution that will do that. The intelligence sharing means that the targeting of long-range targets, what you see here in this schematic, now becomes very difficult. The intelligence sharing is one of the biggest parts of this, and America has just cut it off. Now, if that's not extortion to get your way, I don't know what is. And it's extortion in favor of our enemies who every day do everything they can to tear us down. Now, the good news is that the rest of the world hasn't been subverted by the Kremlin. Not yet, anyway, though God knows they're trying. This is the Minister of Defense for the country of France, Sébastien Lecornu. And Mr. Lecornu today said that with the gap in American intelligence now present, France will do what it can to provide intelligence to Ukraine. This comes after not only did the United States say no more intelligence sharing to Ukraine, but additionally, the United States told Great Britain, don't dare pass any information on to Ukraine that you get from us. Now, that is not how the Five Eyes community works. That is not how things are supposed to go. And so it is very disturbing, of course, to every American watching the President of the United States sell out democracy in the world in favor of lining his own pockets, which is all he's doing, right? I mean, that's really what the tariffs are about, right? If you're a person with enough resources, like the automobile industry, to go to Washington and kiss the ring and get exemptions on your tariffs and line uh, Connie Donnie's pocket a little bit, you get an exemption to your tariff, right? He knows the tariffs are bad. He knows it's no good. He's doing it to demonstrate he's in control. And he does not care about the damage it will do, just like he does not care about the Ukrainians that are going to die because they don't have the American intelligence that they need to fight this war. It's very difficult to look at this happening. It's very, very difficult. I cannot imagine what the Ukrainians are suffering with this betrayal. Now look, all is not lost. There is hope. I was listening to Sir General Richard Sharif today, who's a former British Army and intelligence officer, if I'm not mistaken, and was in charge of British forces in NATO in Europe, and served in the NATO command structure as well. And then a journalist, an activist by the name of Edward Lewis. So two British guys, right? And it was so great to hear them both, two men whom I respect deeply, hear them both say what I've been saying. America under Trump cannot be trusted. America, the way that it is right now, the hot mess that we have put ourselves in by abandoning our basic principles and values, that America cannot be trusted. And so Europe must dig. Europe must find the political will to safeguard its own future. And that begins right here in Ukraine. Hopefully, it began in earnest today at an emergency meeting of the EU Commission in Brussels, where top EU officials met with Zelensky, or are meeting. Even as I speak right now, they are in meeting. And one of the things they're talking about is seizing those Russian frozen assets before Donald Trump gives them back to Putin. If Europe can find the will to seize those assets to fund Ukraine in the wake of the outrageous turn of events in DC, it is my considered opinion that Ukraine can hold out for a long time. With $300 billion, that's 3 times what we've sent them. And they can buy all the weapons they want on the open market. It is, of course, as an American, regretful that I have to agree with these analyses. But what choice do I have? We cannot hide our heads in the sand. We cannot pretend that it is business as usual in the United States as we watch the path of self-destruction and dictatorship, the undermining of our democratic institutions, play out on a daily basis. We can't hide from it. We have to face it. And I think our European allies do as well. America has been subverted by the Kremlin. You cannot trust it at all anymore. And it pains me deeply to say that, I assure you. But if Europe pulls itself together and stands with Ukraine, this thing can still go sideways for Putin. Just think, all this trying to strong arm Ukraine, suppose it results in the $300 billion in Europe being seized and handed to Ukraine. That would be the boomerang diplomacy of all of the things that have backfired in Putin's face. That would be the greatest yet. It would also have a secondary effect of sidelining the United States in these peace negotiations. There goes Trump's fucking Nobel Peace Prize that he's so desperate for, and his desperate need to show the world that no one can fix the situation here but him, which of course is nonsense of the first order. I stole this post right out of the Kyiv Post, which is a great online English Ukrainian newspaper that I can't recommend enough to people. It's a great source of information. Now, I stole it as it is because the quote and the picture were perfect to me. It's a perfect summary of what's happening. Ukraine, that has been badly abused by Russia for so long, now finds itself in the position of having to kowtow to an American dictator who insists that we are not partners because you have no cards. So you are going to do exactly what we fucking tell you. And Zelensky, for his part, working hard, the only one being asked to make concessions, the victim of the aggressor nation, abused by his allies, is working hard to prepare a plan for the first steps towards a just and sustainable peace. Just and sustainable being the key words there, right? Trump isn't interested in any of that. He does not see beyond his next conquest, his next meal. But Zelensky does. We are working on it quickly. It will be ready in the near future. These guys are being made to do all the work. These guys who didn't ask for this war, never wanted this war, and yet have valiantly fought it to a deadlock with an aggressor who is 5 times their population and had the great Soviet inheritance stockpile and every advantage. They have fought them to a deadlock. This is the guy that's doing all the work. Meanwhile, the aggressor is saying, we refuse negotiations or ceasefire until Ukraine surrenders. That's basically what they're saying. Look at the conditions. They openly reject any conditions that would put NATO or EU peacekeepers in Ukraine. Fuck that, right? And they will not negotiate. They will not ceasefire until Ukraine cedes all of the illegally annexed territories, including those not occupied by Russia. The 50,000 people in Kherson City, turn them over to the Russians. Same number of people in Zaporizhia, more, I think, actually. I think Zaporizhia City is about 120,000, I think. I could be, fact check me on that. But it's a middling-sized city, right? You're all now Russian. We're just giving you to the enemy. It's outrageous. They're laughing. They are giddy. Like a 16-year-old on nitrous at their first rave. The Russians are that giddy about the heady success they have had in the re-election of their puppet, Donald Trump. It is heartbreaking for me. And the North Koreans are back in on the action. So it appears as though the next 5,000 troops are on their way. According to South Korean politician, a member of the South Korean Congress or Parliament, Yoo Young-won, citing Ukrainian intelligence sources, is reporting that Pyongyang has dispatched 1,500 new soldiers to Kursk. They are likely rocket and artillery experts, gunners, who will run the 150 Koksan self-propelled guns that have been brought into Russia to support the Russian mission in Kursk. And about 20 of those panel trucks with the hidden rocket launchers in them. Those folks are among these first 1,500 to get to Kursk. Another 3,500 troops are currently in the Far East getting training before they come to Kursk. But it is expected that they will be in Kursk within weeks. Days, weeks, not months, right? So North Korea continues to support Russia. Meanwhile, the United States has abandoned Ukraine. Let me play this video for you. It's the first as far as I know, it's the first video from the cockpit of an F-16 fighter of Ukraine, and we can see the camera pans over to the wing here, and you can see on the hard points there 2 AIM-9X Sidewinder air-to-air missiles used for taking out mostly Russian missiles entering Ukrainian airspace. So I thought, thank you to the American people for your support. Anybody who says the Ukrainians aren't grateful, anybody who demands thanks for their good works, I mean, I'll tell you something. I live here. The Ukrainians are extremely grateful. They should not have to be insulted the way we saw them insulted on Friday. That was outrageous. Okay, that's it for me this morning. That's the news we are waking up to for Thursday, the 6th of March, day 1107 of Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against the people of Ukraine. I'm Peter Alexievich. Listen, I had a problem with last night's live. I couldn't download it from TikTok for some reason. It just keeps failing no matter what I do. I restart the machine, blah, blah, blah. I can't get it down for some reason. I don't know why. So with a little bit of luck, I'll see you in the live tonight, and we won't have that problem tomorrow. Thanks, guys.